Hey everyone, today we're going to look at some of the results from the last weekend featuring the new set. So it'd be for Cheer Cup Takasaki and also for WGP Singapore. Now there was also a WGP Indonesia, but I think we're going to keep those results for maybe top decks. That's where most of them are posting it, as well as the other Singapore results. Now, before I continue, I just want to point out there is a clearance sale at BCW, one of our sponsors. It's like a 35% clearance sale. And then if you use our code WCC, you will get another 10% off as well. So that is a lot of discounts, right? It's a lot of discounts. If you want to get in on it, go to the BCW website, links below, and you can go to their clearance sale and take a look. Now, why are we interested in the new set? Because it's a new set results, and also because Daivangsai will be in this format. Now, Cheer Cup Takasaki did have diversity cut, and Daivangsai apparently won't have it, even though it's a teams event. So still, you know, results are still good, right? It's still good to see the results and see what people have been cooking. And there have been some big changes to the decks. You know, ban list came into play and all that. So things like Bavsagra did get hit. Now, we do have some of the stats. This is from Drifting Yaro, who was like compiling results. Bavsagra in the X1 line, so because it was diversity cut, not everyone in the X1 line made it, but most teams brought Bavsagra, doubling that of Estation, and then only 7.1% of the teams brought Estation. And the third was actually Alita Gleamer, so Japan really getting in on that Alita Gleamer stuff, right? Getting there. And I thought that was like Mygo, Overlord, and yeah. And then we have the exact numbers. I think they just missed like one of the placements. But yeah, so 24 Bavsagras in that X1 line. So a lot. There's basically a lot. Yeah. And then Estation 0 as well. I feel like Estation is also relatively strong. You have to understand that Bavsagra still strong, even though after it got hit. But it also means that a lot of people do have the deck. So in terms of when you play in the diversity format, you generally want, you either go full meta, right? Full best deck, or you go at least one really strong deck, and then you're fighting for diversity. You're going, do we bring one diversity cut deck or two diversity cut deck? In this tournament, specifically, if you brought only one diverse deck, diversity cut deck, you probably didn't make DOP cut if you went X1. So you have to go X0. So yeah, you have to have that thoughts, which is why there can be a big swap there. But apart from that, yeah, a lot of different decks. Let's kind of break down on what made it through, what came first. So 2 blocks in Takasaki, and we're going to look at some of the other cool decks too. So first off was this team. This was with Pico, Shiki, and Rabi. These are all old players, very strong players, and they came first. They brought a unique lineup. So Pico brought I think this is Mortis or Ava Musica, but yeah, the Mortis version. So it's this fat doll. I don't know if it's fat, but it looks like a doll. But yeah, they brought the Mortis deck. This deck, the unique gimmick of it is you can run 16 of these. These are Mitsumis, and they get stacking buffs based on the number of Mortises or Mitsumis in your buying zone. So you have 2 or more, this card gets boost, so 10k boost, not bad. You get 4 or more, it also gets 5k shield and intercept from the back. So that's pretty good, right? 10k shields. And then if you have 6 or more, it gets plus 10k during your turn. So it's a 20k boost. And yeah, that's pretty decent. How you bind cards is with the Mortis herself. This is going to be a Vanguard. So you ride this through going through Imprisoned 12. But yeah, you ride this, and then as triple drive, which is pretty good. When you attack, at the end of your attack, you counterblast 1, and you either bind 2. You bind 2 cards either from your hand or from your rearguard circle, and you bind Mortis or Mitsumi cards, and then yeah, you stand and she gets -3 drive, and then if your opponent is grade 3 or high, get +1 drive. So 3 drive, 1 drive. That's a pretty good restanding Vanguard. She also gets power. So if you have on the Vanguard or the rearguard circle, if you have based on the Mortis or Mitsumi's M&Ms basically in your buying zone. If you have 1 or more, you get 5k, and if you get 3 or more, you have 15k instead. So it's like scaling, right? You on your first attack, on your first grade 3 turn, she will have boost, which is good. On your second turn, she'll have intercept, and then on your third grade 4 turn, I guess, you will have plus 10k. And that I guess that's when the game kind of ends. You know, that's your kill turn. And then, like, it sounds slow, but I guess on your second grade 4 turn, you will have the extra shield for her, so she can kind of help you guard enough to get you through that turn. The other thing to mention is that the Imprison 12 order, this one allows you to ride the grade 4, but it also goes to the order zone, and then this is not a once per turn effect, by the way. You can either counterblast, this is an act ability as well, you can counterblast one Energy Blast 3 to call either a Mortis or a Mutsumi from your drop zone. So it's free. It is, well, it's not free, but you can just spam all your resources to just keep on calling back your Mortis and Mutsumis, and I guess this means you'll be able to get a good amount of cards to guard with because you won't need to touch your hand. Ideally. How you make better columns as well is just because of the Mortis herself. She has that power gain. So, you know, your first grade 3 turn, she is 18k by itself. Is she boosted by 10k? 28. Next turn is when you'll have 4 in the bind zone, so she'll get plus 15k instead, so that's like 38. And then after that, your Mutsumis in the back row will get an extra 10k, so it's 48 on, like, probably your side columns. And that's pretty scary. Combined with a triple and a single drive. Yeah, the rest of the deck is just Cry Chick, and it's the Mygo Ride line to kind of do that. So, yeah, overall, pretty interesting deck. It's very simple. I'm surprised it came first, actually, because I didn't expect it to be that strong, but it worked out. The other player brought a Levidras, so this Levidras is not running any of the new set 7 support cards. It's literally just taking out 2 Charmnets, and you run the Mythiarch order, and then also the Mythic Habitat and the Fire Regulus piece. And the rest of the deck is just like 4x. You have the Sapphires to kind of aggress early if you want. But yeah, it's just a Levidras deck. It's still doing good. Give it a go if you have nothing else to play. And then you also have the Forte deck in that team, the Morphonica Forte deck. And from what I understand of this deck is now Morphonica can make like 5 attacks. Your back row can attack. Yeah, so it's like 5 attacks, pretty much. So, okay, very nice. Congrats on first place there. Second place was, this is the unfortunate, pretty funny. But they brought the Berry. So Berry is also one of the other decks that's considered to be very strong. I think it's pretty interesting that in the beginning everyone brought Love, but then the Berries have been taking it home. Let's be real. They've been having crazy good results, Worlds, then Nationals as well. And nowadays, I think Berry is determined to be just better because format has changed a bit as well. One of the cool things about Berry is that it's Vanguard-centric, and that also her main effect, like if you don't understand how Love and Berry works, is it's similar to Mushiki, I guess, in a way, but yeah, you basically play pieces of clothing down, and based on the number of pieces of clothing listed here that you have in your order zone, you get special effects. So if you have 1 piece of clothing, she gets to re-ride from the soul, and then you ride back, so like a pseudo restand. When you have 2, you get plus 5k for both turns, right? So she's 18k defensively. And then when you have 3 pieces of clothing, you have 3 piece, your front row gets plus 5 for the whole turn. So yeah, that's pretty good, right? Her main effect being that re-ride, the restand, the dual attack being on the first 1 piece effect is very, very strong. If you check Love, her main restand effect, she restands reguards. Your front, she does 5 attacks, but she restands the reguards. That one is tied behind the 3 piece, which is pretty significant. It means that you have to be focused on developing the 3-piece structure for your Love deck. But for Berry, you can just need 1, and your life is good, right? So I think that's a huge difference, because if you look at the Love decks, they run more of the level 3 clothing pieces, while Berry just runs 1 of everything, and that gives you like 2 extra spaces to run 2 of this order. How do you call it? The Royal Blitz order, Royalty Knighthood Blitz order. But yeah, this is just the insane Blitz order that allows you to move all your heals from your drop to the Guardian Circle, so you can get massive shield. So technically speaking, Berry is defensively better than Love. So I think that's very significant. And in terms of offense, I think Berry is still pretty good. Love gets 5 attacks. Berry gets 2 Vanguard attacks. So that can be a lot of pressure, right? And then this team also brought a Beth Saga. So again, a lot of the best Sagas, if you have been looking at the VG top decks, they've just been taking out the Vilords, putting it to 1, and then adding more into the Shenries, adding more into the Cindies, or, you know, putting it in arms. So very easy switches. It does mean that you are nerfed because you don't get infinite Vilords and infinite kind of hand filter with the, you know, the overdress and getting the shield, switching and all that to kind of draw more. You don't have that anymore, but the deck is still very strong. As long as you get your Trick Moons, you get a lot of power. Yeah, multi-attack, all that jazz. And then they also brought the Estartion. So if you've seen the Estartion, this is pretty similar to the ones that were brought before. They are running the Matus builds. But funnily enough, I don't think this build the Estartion builds have been changing, and I feel like this build is not the strongest one out of the lot anymore. We'll see later on what I consider to be maybe a better build. But they are also running 1 copy of Winter, which I think is okay. I think 1 copy of Winter is okay. I think the slots in the deck can be a bit restricted, but, you know, 1 copy of Winter is kind of nice in certain scenarios, like very specific scenarios. So only 1 copy is enough, in my opinion. And then after that, we have the 3rd place team. This guy is insane. He managed to make a smile frown, or a frown smile, you know. Incredible. But they brought Messiah. So actually, there is something to say about Messiah. I feel like it's kind of weird how, like, the theory of this deck plays, right? Because certain, like, you think of Messiah, it's a slow deck, it's a stride deck, grade 2 game, not amazing. You have your Valtrosa. It's kind of it. So most decks, when they play against you, they'll go, okay, I'm gonna just stay at grade 2. I'm gonna let you ride to grade 3 because it's gonna slow you down, and then I'll just ride up after that, unless they have like insane grade 3 plays. But then again, when you think about that, then that's pretty good, because a lot of decks nowadays do have those really good grade 3 plays. So they might just want to ride up, and then you get a free first stride. And then when you get that first stride, you can kind of draw a lot of cards to kind of tank through your opponent's next turn. And then you get your scaling going. But that's not it. If you remember, Messiah has the crest that binds your opponent's units. And if you think about certain cards in the format right now, or certain decks in the format right now, really hate having their stuff bound. So if you think of something like Saga, for example, if their Trick Moons get bound, their life kind of sucks, because they're never getting those Trick Moons back. And if you play Saga, you know how important those Trick Moons are. They don't have Vilord protection anymore. They have 1 Vilord. That is it. If they can't protect all their Trick Moons, so once the Trick Moons are gone, they're going back to Shenries, and Shenries are definitely not as good as having multiple Trick Moons. Also, decks like Berry, Love and Berry, they run very low amounts of Regards. So they have key grade 2s, they have key grade 1s. They want to have the formation where they have their grade 2s at the front and their grade 1s at the back, because it's the only thing they run, and those cards are already so good. If they suddenly lose all their cards, they get bound, and there's no way for them to get it back. They do not have any way to aggress you properly. So, you know, Messiah, for example, has a new thing called well, not a new thing anymore, but they got Transel's Messiah. This is basically a full board wipe. So you lock their board, they get bound, they don't have play. So technically speaking, there's some half decent matchups, theoretically speaking, about Messiah that might be an interesting discussion. Let's put it that way. If those decks play against Messiah, they have to think with their brain a bit more. So yeah, interesting theory there. I don't know how it plays out. It did turn out pretty well for this team. They came 3rd place with a Messiah in their lineup, so good stuff. Then they also brought a Bavsagra. Again, you know, pretty simple swaps here. Bavsagra, pretty standard in what it does. And then we also have the Artisaria. So, funny story, I was thinking of building an Artisaria, then I realized how many generics it needs to run, and I just went, maybe not, right? Look at the generics. Yuika's, expensive. Valifors, or whatever it's called, very expensive. Precia's, very expensive. This deck's not even running the Franchettes, which is also extremely expensive. So yeah, maybe not. But Artisaria is pretty good right now. It did get the new grade 2, which is pretty nice. It is Energy Blast 2, called a Shadow Army token. That card cannot attack. So you just boost. It's a 25k boost. You can play this early and just aggress early to kind of try and deal as much damage as you can. And then the second effect is just a really, really tanky shield, 25k shield, getting rid of your extra Shadow Army tokens. You can bounce this person with your Yuikas, your Franchettes to keep on playing and popping. So yeah, overall an insanely good card for the deck, I think. Just overall, I feel like Artisaria itself is a bit too fair. in a format where decks can be very unfair. So that's my kind of gripe with it. But overall, I think it's still a very good deck. It's a tier 2. It's probably tier 2. And it just has it's just really tanky. It's really tanky. Fourth place team as well. They A block. There are 2 blocks, by the way, in case I didn't say. They brought a Kairi. Kairi's pretty cool, right? New Kairi's pretty cool. You can say that some people have said, why not just play Grateful Kairi anyway? You can. Grade 3 Kairi, I guess, at least replaces the old Grade 3 Kairi, which was not great. Let's put it that way. New Kairi is pretty cool in that it bounces whole field, so you can't get locked. It just goes immediately. You don't need to wait a turn for Grade 4. I guess one of the things when you play Grade 4 Kairi was that when you went first, it felt kind of bad. You couldn't jump to Grade 4, but now you have plays at least with Grade 3. With the Send Out Aqua line, you can just play down cards, and then you have Yuikas and Francesca kind of bounce things. So you can, with this deck, the unique feature, you can aggress early, you can throw down cards, bash them, and then bounce it all back, ready to go again. So yeah, otherwise, I think this deck is mostly built to how I kind of built this in my prelim deck builds, because it's just so simple, it's so straightforward. But yeah, very interesting deck. You just go fast, go quick, empty board so you don't lose things, and then just kind of just play fast and lose. It's just how it is. Then we also have the Bath Saga again. This one's running 1 copy of the Doistia, but not that common, right? Maybe some decks run like 1 or 2, but yeah, most of them is just going into the Shenris, Cindy's, some Arms, and then also they ran Flam Glam. The Flam Glam, I think it got a new like PR and support, so I think this is the new support, and then this is I think the new PR. So, was it PR? Yeah, PR. Was it new? I'm not 100% sure. I'm in too fully invested in Flam Glam, but definitely this is a deck brought for diversity. But you'll see later, this team went undefeated in Swiss. So it was good enough for diversity, and also good enough to be able to beat other decks. Let's just put it that way. If you're a Flam Glam enjoyer, don't let your memes be dreams. Okay. So here is the overall what happened in Swiss, the diversity cut, end of Swiss rounds, what made it through via diversity cut. So you see that team that we just saw right here, the Flam Glam team, did very well, undefeated. I think the diversity cut was like somewhere in like 7th, because this is where we see really weird stuff. But yeah, like top 7 went all undefeated. There's some Vargas, Dieful Dolls, Mygo, Leonore, and all that. Seraphs, a few Seraphs. Elitaglima, again, Japan has realized how good Elitaglima is. Some Blendemize as well. So some interesting decks we'll quickly take a look at is just the Varga deck. So this hasn't changed, right? You know, they slapped in the Rainbow Cyclers. There was some support from set 8 for Varga, but I don't think they're running it. Well, at least this one isn't running it. Overall, Varga got buffed because everyone got nerfed. But also, Varga farms like decks that aren't top tier. Like, this is kind of like a gateway deck. If your deck cannot recover from a board wipe, then your deck is not good enough. So I guess that's kind of where it's at. And the other deck is the Overlord deck. So the interesting thing about the Overlord deck that I kind of like is it got a new order. So this order is pretty cool. It draws, when you play, you draw 1, and then you pick a card from your hand, and then you call it, basically. If it's like less than your equal to or less than your Vanguard's grade, and then you retire one of your opponent's front rows, but if you don't, the called unit gets plus 5k. So this works pretty well with things like Latifah, which is basically Dragon Empire Teethfelt. And then Teethfelt, Latifah works very well with Shenri, because then Shenri, you know, you get your draw, you get boost, it's grade 1, it works well with the order. So it's like, this is like the pile, the Overlord pile now, let's put it that way. You also have the Bellicosti Dragon, which is like a Burning Horn replacement. You have the Burning for power gain effect, but then you can Energy Blast 3, Solid and card draw 2, so it's a nice filter. But I haven't really told you about the overall superpower of this new order. So the second effect of this order allows you to basically, like, if it's a hard once per turn. You play it from your drop, you remove it, you bind it from your drop zone, basically, with Energy Blast 3, then you search a deck for an Overlord that is with a different name than the current one you have. So then you write it stand. So we're running the old Overlord, the normal OG Overlord in the right deck. So then with this, you will search the end, and then you're good to go, right? But then the second effect also of that second effect is that you can also, you pick one of these, by the way. If your Vanguard has the Persona Ride icon, right, and then this turn you do not ride from a grade 2, you can discard a card and then activate Persona Ride. So you can Persona Ride, then use this and Persona Ride again. That's two 10Ks. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. Very scary. Yeah. And then on the turns you don't Persona Ride, you still have a Persona Ride. So the power consistency is very good. There's probably never a turn now where you don't activate at least one Persona Ride, and on the turns you activate 2, your power levels go very high, very hard for your opponent to guard. But the extra spice of this deck is that you also run one of this order from way back from DB202. This allows all your units to attack your opponent's back row cards, which means you have an auto win against a Starshot. You attack their blast token, you play this, you attack their blast token, the blast token ties. Their deck doesn't do anything. It is an auto win now, basically. And then you run grade 1 generics, right, that searches out that order. So you basically run 3 copies of this single order. So whenever you play against the Starshot, you just spend a turn to kill their blast token, and then continue like winning from there, because once they lose their blast token, their deck doesn't work, you win, right? And then if they spend all the entire turn guarding that blast token, then you probably still win anyway, because you force them to use so many resources guarding it. So that's like another spice in that deck that you can run, which is pretty good. But overall, I think the overall deck is just pretty spicy right now. Moving on to the B block, and this was won by a team that you probably know some of the players. So this is with Hero, Miltai, and Paka. So Miltai, pretty big Twitter. You see his tier list all the time. Kind of funny, he made a tier list before, then came first place using the decks that he rated very highly on his tier list. So what decks did he bring? The Alita Gleamer, he has rated very high. This is the Japanese build. Not too different from our English build, by the way. This is got the only difference is they have this order here. Just whatever. Like, it doesn't really do too much, in my opinion. They are not running any heals. They're running fronts and crits. No draws, right? No draws. But yeah, fronts and crits, 1 PG. All right, so Alita Gleamer, it is what it is. Then second place, well, not second, the other Miltai himself brought the Astartion. I like this Astartion list a lot. This is not running the Matus, so Matus is the PR, is the Teeth Felt of Stokea. But if you actually play the deck a bit, you realize that Matus conflicts with your deck a bit, because the turns when you want to play it is a turn when you play one of these orders, but then this requires a Soul Blast 1. Matus requires a Soul Blast 1. It is very Soul Blast heavy, so it can be bad, right? And like, you only really want to play it on the turns when you play the order, which is like basically every turn, a lot of turns. But you'll find that the timings for it are very it's resource heavy, and the timings for it is really rough, unless you've been burrow mushering every single turn to be able to kind of sustain that. So yeah, kind of bad. Well, kind of not great, but the additions here to the deck are pretty interesting. They run the broccoli, because broccoli is very healthy for you, but it builds tokens as well. It draws cards. So overall, very nice to have, being able to make tokens to be able to then suck it into the blast token to draw even more cards. The energy cycler as well is also pretty cool. You know, use the extra energy to draw cards. Make your early game a bit more, if you have it in the early game, it can be a bit more like, you know, streamlined, but also another way to kind of search out your orders to be able to ensure that you're playing the order every single turn with the Alvina. And then also running more copies of the Spring Dragon. This one just makes plant tokens, and again, plant tokens equals blast tokens, and can just make that overall concept and overall strategy just much more consistent. And then some Guardian Shield, the Rainbow Cyclers here. At least with this one, you don't feel bad if you miss using the effect, because you get a Persona Shield. Persona Shield's nice, but it's not the end of the world. But you also can be able to time when you want to play this better, because you're not kind of stuck between, you know, you're not like stuck saying, I don't have soul to play this because I had to use it for the order, so but I have to play now, or, you know, it doesn't work. So you don't have that, right? You don't have that, and you can kind of discard it in the early game to kind of get more shield. So yeah, it's a bit more flexible. That's the way I want to put it that way. But I feel like this Starshot list is like kind of the next evolution, the next step. I think it's just better than the Matus ones. But we'll see. And then you also have the Berry deck. So I've kind of talked about Berry deck. It's really, really good. Yeah, not much to say. Second place, happiness all around. They brought an interesting lineup. So they brought Leonorn. Leonorn got some new trial deck, but they also got new support. So this is this is basically Energy Cycler for Magnolia and Leonorn, but with added effects. The second effect just pumps one of your guys. Well, not pump, but you set one of your rear guards' power to like become 15k or 20k, which is very good in a deck that likes big power, because then you copy that power and get infinite value from that, right? So you have this, and they're also running 4x of this order that gives one of your rear guards plus 5k for each grade 1 or lower rear guard you have on the board. So basically it's plus 25 if everything's grade 1 or lower. So that's pretty good. 20k plus 25, and then your Rosarian Fairy copies that power. Lots of power, lots of value. Big good, I guess. But that's just Leonorn, right? And Leonorn didn't get anything else. No super jumps, no craziness. Just those 2 cards, which could be pretty good. Right? Then the next deck was a Shoujo Doji. Recently got unhit, right? Got Izuso went to 2. Really nothing else to say about this deck. They're running Rainbow Cyclers now. I guess bottom decking certain cards can be really good. You bottom deck your opponent's Trick Moons, they'll have to search it out again. Can be annoying, right? Can be annoying. So yeah, pretty interesting. And then we also have the Artisaria. So Artisaria, very similar to the other list we showed before. I think this is just running a different Mega Romania lineup, and Shout and Shadow. This one's really up to you. Like, do you expect a lot of players to play around Lock? Then play more Shout and Shadow. Do you think people are going to play a lot of decks that lose to Lock? Play more Romania. Right? That's pretty much it. And then third place, they didn't have a picture, unfortunately, but they brought a Night Rose. So this Night Rose hasn't really changed much. Maybe 2 Nectars is the new meta, but that's not a really significant change. It's just your, it's just hostage, Stoicheia builds, scale to late game, get a lot of power multi-attack. Then you also have the Leisha Fail. So Leisha Fail in Chris Rainwright recently got a new order. This is just a PR Divine Skill order. It just allows you to, when you play it, you draw a card, and then you give one of your regards the effect that the red text when they leave the board. You give one of your other units plus 5,000. And then that unit also gets plus 5,000. So it's like a baton pass, high touch kind of thing. It's a high five. It's a high five, right? So yeah, just kind of just a nice order to have. It works well with Stragar, which is the Taithfel. You kind of see where I'm going at. So yeah, overall, it got hyped quite a lot. Leisha Fail got hyped quite a lot. And then they also brought a Mygo. So the new Mygo is kind of interesting. I think it's like you're required to play like 1 copy of your old version of the Mygo cards, because then it adds additional effects to the new ones. Yeah, I think I haven't gone too deep into it. I think it's rated pretty good. You also have a new like order, so this one allows you to stand your whole board without having to pay really a cost for anything. You just have to fulfill the conditions. So the old one required you to discard a card, and then if your opponent was on grade 3, they get 5k. But this one, you don't get that power, but you also don't have to pay the cost for it. So it's free restand when your opponent's on grade 2. And then I guess when you want to go for the kill turn, you still have the old one that you can use. So kind of combining the old with the new, but I think you can get all the cards anyway from the new set. So regardless of how you do it, it's all good. So pretty cool. It will be interesting maybe to take a look at. And then also we have the 4th place lists from B Block. This is just the Bav Saga one. Again, running 2 copies of the grade 2. And then next we have is the Levidrass. So another build of Levidrass. This is running 4 copies of the set 7 support. So pretty interesting there. And then the last one here is just, again, another Artisaria, right? Another Artisaria. But yeah, this one's running 1 copy of this grade 3 way back from Festival. Should be Festival Collection, right? Special set. So yeah, not many changes. It's just the core is still there, right? And then lastly, something interesting deck. So this is just the Swiss rounds, what made it through Swiss. Again, we have like Kyrie, the Astartion, Oligoglimas, these berries as well, all doing very well. Zorga, all right, Zorga, a Magnolia as well. Avamusica, true. Blangnomires, we'll see some Blangnomires later. And then Yotes, the blood, wow, okay, Gandiva. We have some Overlords doing well. Dogs, and in the last page we also have, well, this is the Morphonica. We've seen some of this list as well. So yeah, some quick decks to take a look at, right? If you want to look at these, you can just go to JP deck log. One of these things is that Magnolia list. This is not as interesting as you would have thought. Yeah, new Magnolia is basically great. The grade 3s are basically grade 4s in grade 3 bodies, but you can still run grade 4 Magnolia anyway, right? So why worry about Persona Ride when you can just ride grade 4? It's just that simple. And then, you know, Inlet Pulse, fan favorite. I'm sure people will get mad at that. But yeah, just Magnolia, grade 4 Magnolia in 2025. Yeah. And then the other one, I guess, is the Blood. So the Blood also has pretty interesting matchups. It's similar in a way to Messiah, where it has those matchups where it can battle multiple things and then bind their stuff and then, you know, bind key cards, and then they might not have like good things anymore. So again, Trick Moon's great targets. Love and Berry has some great targets too. The one plus with the Blood is that it can attack your opponent's blast token. Blast tokens do have a pseudo resist effect, but it doesn't stop you from attacking it, choosing it as a target of attack. So every time you play a Starshone with this, then you'll be able to just select that back row blast token every time to make your opponent have to guard their Vanguard and their Reguard. That is a huge committal, and the moment they cannot do that, they cannot guard that blast token, they lose the game. So it's like having 2 lose conditions for a opponent when they're a Starshone. So I think this can be a pretty good meta pick. I'm just not sure how good the matchup for this against other decks are. Do you just auto lose to a bunch of other decks? I don't know. We'll have to test with that. Divangasai, you know, this is the format for Divangasai. It might be pretty interesting. But Divangasai doesn't have diversity cards. So apparently. So running some counter decks might be pretty cool. Then onto WGP Singapore. This is Spoosy. He came first place with a Blangdomire list, right? We can look at the deck log here, the new Nexus. This is kind of like old Blangdomire plus, right? Plus new, just like extra version. Yeah, but able to go come first place is a pretty strong feat. Now, you have to bear in mind that Singapore was also a singles event, so this went like they cut to top 32, so it would have won like, you've gone 5 straight wins there, and then at least X2 or better in the Swiss rounds. And I think, you know, Swiss rounds for WGP is like 9 rounds. So this deck went really good, right? Really good. I think some of the revision tier lists have Blangdomire a bit higher, which is crazy because the ride line is so annoying. But the power of this deck simply seems to be pretty good. Right, it seems to be where it should be at. But yeah, Spree came first with this. Pretty nice. We'll probably see more of the WGP Singapore list later in top decks, but we also have the Youth Bag. This one was scarily absent. We did not see a single Youth Bag in any of the Takasaki Swiss rounds as well, which is crazy. And then we have this, which came second at WGP Singapore. Again, like I said, this would go on X1 in top cut, so losing the last round, then going at least X2 or better in the Swiss. So it's definitely doing something well, and I think you'd be pretty amazed at this list. So first off, we do have the Teethfelt Catapult engine, right? This is the Teethfelt. This guy is actually a Teethfelt. And then we have the Selgyons, and this is a Selgyon as well, right? In case you don't know. And then they're running Wisdom. Now, I know a lot of people have been saying, Kai, you know, like, Youthberg has a better order. You don't run Wisdom, you run the top 5 searcher. You grab one, you call one, and then you can also you can grab a Revel form as well, so you'll never miss. These two orders are very different. Wisdom and that one are different. That one helps you dig for cards, but Wisdom lets you commit cards while drawing cards. This one, Wisdom for Rushdown is way better, right? It's way better. when you're committing cards anyway, this is just straight up just giving you pluses, right? You have a Teeth Belt and a Selgion in your hand, right? You're going to play them anyway. Wisdom will just draw you 2, and then you'll play those 2 down. Life is good, right? So for rush down, this is Wisdom. Personally, I think is just better, right? And then if you look at this deck properly, you'll see it's also running no Carinos. It's Carinos the ones that when you discard it or when it's called from the deck, you can search your deck for I think it's basically a Rebel form, and then add to your hand, and then you put a card into your soul. Right, so that solves your soul issues. But because you only need exist, right? If you play the deck, you only need exist. You don't need to like do anything fancy, like do full blast in the soul, like all the 3 RGB stuff in the soul. No, you only need to keep on drawing exist. Once you have an exist, you're fine for a turn, and then you have Selgions, you got wisdom, things like that, kind of dig through to kind of get more. You're also wanting Dowdrix to kind of, in an emergency, maybe get another one. So getting exists, I think, like this, should be okay. So yeah, no Carinos, right? No Carinos. Running Wayfarers as well. So yeah, pretty interesting. Again, it had to be pretty consistent to make it all the way to second place. So, even without Carinos, it's doing something right. So yeah, that is basically all the lists we have today. We'll be going through more of them in top decks in a more like kind of like I guess intimate setting or something like that. I don't know. Me and Kelvin look into it. Definitely interesting because the Vanga site is coming up soon, so we'll have to look into it. We have been testing as well, so set A, pretty cool. Again, like BCW clearance, go check it out. 35% on a lot of items. But if you use WCC code, you'll get an extra 10%, which is great. That's a lot of saving. It helps you against the tariffs, right? So the link, it will be below, and then just go check it out. So that is it for me. Very, very cool format right now. Everything is changing, but we'll see what happens for soon. So see you all later, all right? See you all next time. See you top decks. All right, bye.